This is the lecture for English 1, Week 18 for Mrs. Roth's class at the Lancaster Learning Link. As you watch this video, make sure that you have the following items available. You'll need Chart 4, Chart 10, Chart 14, your in-class practice sheet, and some extra pieces of paper for diagramming sentences and other things. If you haven't already taken the quiz, you should stop the video and do that now. Print that off and complete it on a piece of paper, not on your computer. When we finish with the lecture, the only two things that you need to send to me in the mail this week are the quiz for this week and the dailygrams that you completed already for week 18. Those are the only two things that I need you to mail to me. Okay, let's go on with our words of the week. This week our words are desert or dessert and dessert. That first one can be pronounced two different ways, but I want you to make sure that you notice it only has one S. The other one has two S's. The first one, desert, can mean a barren wilderness, like they staggered through the desert. It can also mean a deserved reward or punishment, like he earned his just deserts. Now notice that that's pronounced differently there, but it still only has one S. The final meaning is abandon. God will not desert us. Again, it's pronounced as desert, but it's only one S. The other meaning, or the other word that we're looking at, is the word dessert that you are familiar with. It means a food served at the end of a meal, like I like chocolate for dessert. Now you've probably heard of this familiar memory trick, which says that the way to remember if it's desert or dessert is that you would only want to go through one desert if you were walking, and desert only has one S. But you would want to have two desserts, and dessert has two S's. So if you only want one desert, it's one S. If you want two desserts, it's two S's. Okay, now I'm going to read some sentences, just like we do in class. And I want you, after I read the sentence, I want you to pause the video and write down your answers on a piece of paper, making sure that you're paying attention to whether it's one S or two. Okay, the first sentence has two words in it that you need to write down. The scorpion tiptoes through the moonlit desert, searching for dessert. The scorpion tiptoes through the moonlit desert, searching for dessert. So pause the video, write down your answer, and then start it up again. The first answer was desert, which means a barren wilderness. That's where you'd find a scorpion. Then it was searching for its dessert. That would mean a food served at the end of a meal. Okay, let's go on to number 2. This one again has two words that you need to write down. The burglar's hiding place deserted him when the spotlight swung his way. His subsequent arrest was his just dessert. Let me read that again. The burglar's hiding place deserted him when the spotlight swung his way. His subsequent arrest was his just dessert. Pause the video and write those down. Okay, the first one, his hiding place deserted him. That means it abandoned, so that would be this one with one S. Then his subsequent arrest was his just dessert, which is his deserved reward or punishment. Okay, let's go on to the third sentence. Jesus was tempted in the desert. Jesus was tempted in the desert. Pause the video and write it down. Okay, that would be this one. A barren wilderness is where Jesus was tempted. The next sentence, number 4, is God will never desert us. God will never desert us. Pause the video and write it down. Okay, that one was pretty simple because it's almost like the sentence that was on here, but that would mean to abandon. God will never abandon us. Okay, we have 2 left. Number 5, God's blessings are like a sweet dessert. God's blessings are like a sweet dessert. Okay, pause this and write down your answer. Okay, the answer for that one is circled here. That would be that God's blessings are like a sweet food served at the end of a meal. Okay, the last one. The consequences we receive for our sins are often our just desert. The consequences we receive for our sins are often our just desert. Pause the video and write it down. Okay, and the answer here is the dessert with 1 S. It is the consequences we receive are our deserved punishment. They're not a food served at the end of a meal. Okay, let's move on to your spelling words for week 19. These words are going to follow Rule 484.2 in your Writer's Ink book, which is the rule that governs words with consonant endings. Pull out chart number 4, which is summarizing this particular rule. Remember, this is kind of a long chart. It has 2 different parts, and we'll walk through that with one of our examples here. Okay, the example that we're going to look at is the word beginning. And what we're testing is to see whether or not we're going to double the final consonant in the root word, that N that comes at the beginning or at the end of begin. So in box number 1, we're asking the question, should we double the final consonant? Well, we start by looking at the suffix. If the suffix starts with a consonant or a vowel, which one is it? Well, our consonant is ing, so that starts with a vowel, so we move to box 3. Then we ask the question, is the final consonant preceded by a vowel or a consonant? Well, our final consonant is N, and that is preceded, right before that is an I, which is a vowel. Now I'm moving to the next slide. Remember, this is the chart that I can't fit on one slide. So all I've done is I've just moved box number 4 to the top of my next slide. So in this box, we ask the question, how many vowels right before the final consonant? Now remember, this is where we start at the final consonant and we sort of walk backwards in the word until we hit a consonant, and then we stop counting. So if I start at the N and I go back, I hit the I, so that's 1 vowel. Then I go back and I hit a G, which is a consonant, so I stop counting. So that E that's in there doesn't get counted because the G, which is a consonant, sort of like the wall that I have to stop at as I'm counting these vowels that come before the final consonant. So I only have 1 vowel, so I move to box number 7. Then I ask the question, how many syllables are in the root word? Well, my root word is begin. Begin. That has 2 syllables. So I move on to box number 8, which is the multi-syllable root word. So in box number 8, we ask the next question. Which syllable from the root word is accented when you say the entire word? Well, I've shown up here the 2 possibilities. Is it beginning or beginning? If we accent the second syllable, it would be beginning. If we accent the first syllable, it would be beginning. Well, hopefully you can hear it. We're accenting the second syllable, beginning, and therefore we move to box 10, that the last syllable was accented. Therefore, finally, we've gotten to the bottom of this chart, and we see that we do need to double that final consonant of our root word. And therefore, we have not just one N, but two N's before the suffix. Spelling analysis this week, you'll have to write those paths again, the 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10, that shows the boxes that you stepped through as you were determining whether or not to double the final consonant of the root word. So here's a list of your spelling words that you'll be doing this week: admitting, beginner, caroling, committing, conference, conferring, strolled, counseling, crabbing, and deference. Notice the difference in how we say conference and conferring. There's a difference in the accent of those syllables of the root word, and that's why there's only one R in conference and two R's in conferring.